Hello, I'm Craig Brailsford, and welcome to another episode of Small Stocks, Big Money. For those of you new to the show, RedChip is an investor relations, media, and research firm focused on emerging growth companies. Our unique platform combines global multimedia with traditional investor relations, reaching investors around the world. Now, today's show features interviews with executives of two public companies. First up is BioVie, stock symbol BIVI on the NASDAQ. BioVie is a clinical stage company developing what it believes will be transformative therapies to overcome unmet medical needs in neurodegeneration and liver disease. The company is developing NE3107 for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and BIV201 for refractory ascites and HRS-AKI. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Up next is Bioaffinity Technologies, an emerging player in early-stage cancer diagnosis and treatment. Its flagship product, CyPath Lung, improves detection of early-stage lung cancer by analyzing the lung microenvironment. The non-invasive test has shown high sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy. Lung cancer often goes undetected until it reaches late stage, when treatment options are less effective. Early detection increases survival and reduces medical costs. With commercialization underway, including a pilot program in Texas and the United States Department of Defense's purchase of tests for ongoing research, the company is well poised for growth. The lung cancer diagnostics market is projected to reach $4.7 billion by 2030. The company's flow cytometry platform, enhanced by AI-driven automated data analysis, is being developed to aid in non-invasive diagnosis of COPD and asthma, which have a combined global market expected to reach $8.2 billion by 2027. The company holds extensive U.S. and international patents. Insiders show strong support for the company with ownership at 35%. With a highly experienced leadership team, Bioaffinity Technologies is well positioned to drive innovation in early-stage cancer diagnosis and treatment. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Now, before we get to the first interview, our quote of the week. It comes from the book, Small Stocks, Big Money. Microcaps are a three-card Monte play. If you don't know how to play, stay away. This quote comes from Greg Sikenzia, founding partner of Sikenzia Ross Friedman French LLP, featured in Chapter 13 of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book of exclusive interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's get started with our first interview today with BioVie.
Kong, thanks for being with us today.
Dave, thank you for having me back.
Well, it's my pleasure. Always love to have you on Small Stocks, Big Money. I want to start with an overview of your current clinical priorities and the significance of the recent financing round in achieving these goals.
We have multiple assets that are currently in late-stage clinical development, but our number one priority is our Parkinson's program, which we hope to start the next trial later on this year. And the recent raise that we did essentially allows us to go and start that program. So that's very exciting.
Well, let's talk about that. You have an upcoming phase 2B trial for your first-line monotherapy for Parkinson's disease. Talk to us more about this technology and why you're confident that it could work to treat Parkinson's.
In preclinical studies, we saw in non-human primates that 3107 was very effective at helping the non-human primates regain motor control. We then took it into humans in a phase 2 study where we gave 3107, which is now known as bezisterim. So we gave bezisterim along with the standard of care, which is a drug called levodopa, to 40 moderate to severe Parkinson's patients. And we saw that those that were treated with bezisterim had greater motor control, especially first thing in the morning, right? But that was done as an add-on to levodopa. And upon seeing the results and discussing it with our experts really urged us to change their priority, to put the program as monotherapy first. So that's what we're doing next, is that we are giving bezisterim to newly diagnosed Parkinson's patients that need to go on therapy for the first time to control the Parkinson's symptoms. So we aim to enroll maybe somewhere between 50 to 100 patients, randomized 1-to-1. Half will be given bezisterim to control their Parkinson's symptoms, and the other will be given placebo. Right? And this is monotherapy, first-line therapy trial.
How big is that population?
Well, in the United States alone, estimates are that about 150,000 Americans are newly diagnosed with Parkinson's every year. So this is actually a significant population. But more importantly, when you're diagnosed with Parkinson's, everyone knows that you're on a one-way road to decline. Right? And bezisterim has the potential not only to address the symptoms, but also help to delay the neurocognitive decline that's associated with Parkinson's. And we saw that in our non-human primates studies, and we hope to see that in this human clinical trial.
What makes this drug different from other drugs for Parkinson's?
Well, the standard of care for Parkinson's is a drug called levodopa, which was introduced over 5 decades ago. And levodopa works by replacing the missing dopamine amounts that are in the brain. But 2 things need to be true to develop Parkinson's symptoms. The first is you need low dopamine environment in the brain. And the second is you need to have inflammation and the associated insulin resistance. Right? You need both to be true. But until now, clinicians never had a tool to address the insulin resistance and inflammation. So the only tool that was available is replace the missing dopamine. So now NE3107 works by reducing inflammation and insulin resistance. And that's why it gives a completely new approach to treating Parkinson's patients. And we believe that when fully developed, bezisterim could become the first new therapy for Parkinson's since the advent of levodopa 5 decades ago.
And that would be worth a fortune.
We believe this could be a very significant market opportunity, and more importantly, a great new tool for clinicians and patients.
And how long will this phase 2B last?
This phase 2B, it's only a 3-month to primary endpoint trial. So we hope to have clinical results, the top-line results of this thing by summer or fall at the latest of 2025.
Let's go to a different topic. The U.S. Department of Defense awarded BioVie up to $13.1 million for a drug that treats long COVID. How will this funding accelerate your research, and what are the trial's main objectives?
You know, we believe that inflammation is the root of many things that start to go wrong in the body. And by bezisterim's ability to modulate inflammation, we believe it's applicable in a large number of conditions. And recent studies have shown that long COVID fundamentally is an inflammatory related condition. So by reducing inflammation, we hope to show that bezisterim can address the needs of the 17 million people in the United States who have or have had long COVID. So it's terrific that the Department of Defense has granted us $13 million, right? It comes in 2 tranches. It's actually, the grant is fully funded, right? It just happens to be coming in 2 parts. The first part is the design of the protocol. And once we design the protocol and show it to the Department of Defense, there's a team that looks at it, and that then releases the second tranche to allow us to go and conduct that trial.
Let's talk about your phase 3 trial for Alzheimer's. Where does that stand today?
We're very excited to essentially restart the Alzheimer's program in due course. We need to do 2 things to launch the next phase 3 trial for Alzheimer's. First is we need to complete development of a once-a-day version of 3107 or bezisterim. Right? The previous trial that we conducted used a twice-a-day version of bezisterim, and we saw very, very encouraging results whereby patients saw a 68% slowing of cognitive decline compared to those that are on placebo. Right? So we now need to go and do the next phase 3 trial, and since we're so close to having a once-a-day version, we decided to let's just hold off so that we get the once-a-day done so that we can use it for the trial. Right? And of course, the second thing is we still need to raise some more additional funding to fully fund that phase 3 trial for Alzheimer's. And so we hope to have that up and running by middle of next year.
Kong, I'm very impressed with your clinical lineup. You've got a phase 2 drug for Parkinson's. You're preparing for another phase 3 for Alzheimer's. And you have a $13.1 million grant from the Department of Defense for a drug for long COVID. That's very impressive, particularly given your current market cap. What is the essential value proposition for investors today? Maybe include what analysts have said and what target prices they've given you.
I believe we have one of the most exciting portfolios in biotech today. In bezisterim, Parkinson's patients may eventually have the first new therapy since the advent of levodopa over 5 decades ago. Right? In Alzheimer's, bezisterim may become the first effective drug to arrest or slow the cognitive decline associated with Alzheimer's and not have to worry about the very severe side effects that are associated with other options that are available in the market. And in long COVID, there are 17 million Americans that are suffering right now without any therapy. And we are quite hopeful that the $13 million that the Department of Defense has granted us may open up a new avenue to try to treat these patients. So we believe we represent a terrific buying opportunity because the market does not fully understand and realize the value of what we have in our portfolio today. So for shareholders who understand our science and who have a long-term outlook, we believe we represent a terrific buying opportunity right now.
Kong, I have to agree with you. I represent a lot of biotech companies, as you know, and you've got, again, 3 drugs that potentially are just blockbuster, multi-billion-dollar opportunities. So keep up the good work, and we'll see you again soon.
All right, thank you so much, Dave. Great to be back with you today.
Now, to get more information on BioVie, visit biviinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies just like BioVie. Now, let's move on to our next interview today with Bioaffinity Technologies.
Maria, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
It's good to have you back here in sunny Orlando in our studio. I want to talk first today about your CyPath lung test. You've had extraordinary growth in sales on that. It is a game-changing technology, early detection test for lung cancer. Tell us about how you developed it and talk about your sales growth.
So we have had significant sales growth, particularly in the first part of this year, largely because of a number of things. One is that we have a CPT code. We have a reimbursement code that became effective January 1st. So we see reimbursement both with Medicare and private payers for the test. The second is we have several new members of our sales team who have experience. One comes from Olympus, another comes from Pulmonx, number of very significant companies in the diagnostic and in the pulmonary space. Ours is a test for the early detection of lung cancer, as you said. It's a non-invasive test, and that's important. People collect their sample. They collect a sputum sample that comes from the lungs at home. And with the help of a patient coach, they have someone who can walk them through how to do so. This is for individuals primarily who are at high risk for lung cancer, so most often smokers or former smokers. After 3 days of collection at home, they will put the sample back into the kit and mail it overnight using FedEx, a pre-addressed and prepaid.
Very simple,
envelope.
very easy.
It is. It's very much a test that has the patient in mind. Once the sample gets to the laboratory, and our laboratory is Precision Pathology, it's a subsidiary of Bioaffinity Technologies, the sample itself is processed and then run through what's called a flow cytometer. Ours is not a molecular test. Ours is not a test that looks at DNA mutations. It is not blood. We use sputum. What we look at is the microenvironment in the lung. In other words, we look at cell populations. And through using AI, machine learning, we have a automated analysis. We're able to determine if there is a presence of different cell populations that indicate there's a malignancy present. And within 2 days, a physician then gets a report back, and that report tells you whether or not you are at low risk or high risk for lung cancer.
Talk to us about flow cytometry and how it applies to your technology.
The flow cytometry is a very well-established instrument that's used primarily in blood cancers. So people who are suspected to have leukemias, for example, will give blood, and then the blood is analyzed, and the lab tech or the physician looks at, the pathologist will look at whether or not there are certain cell populations that indicate the presence of malignancy. Our test works similar to that. We've taken flow cytometry, and we've been able then to look at cell populations that indicate the presence of a malignancy for lung cancer. And we don't use blood, as is used in leukemias. We use sputum. We take the sputum, we disassociate it, meaning we take the gunk out, and we make it similar to blood into a single cell suspension.
The lungs are bathed with sputum. So.
Exactly. It's a very, very good sample. And the idea is that if there is a tumor or malignancy present, that sheds, this cancer does shed. And we look at then whether there's a population, for example, that's there that has been marked by a certain porphyrin. Porphyrins are taken up by cancer and cancer-related cells at far greater amounts, and they fluoresce. So one of our indices.
What is a porphyrin?
A porphyrin is like the heme in hemoglobin. It's a molecule that can be both synthetic or it can be organic, like the heme. This specific porphyrin is a synthetic porphyrin. Early work was done at Los Alamos National Lab on this porphyrin that found that it was particularly good in marking cancer and cancer-related cells in sputum, and thus the development of the test.
Understood. How accurate is the test?
So we completed a test validation trial, a clinical trial, and in it we found that for people who have small nodules, and this is important and we'll talk about it in a minute why, but for people with small nodules less than 20 millimeters, we had 92% sensitivity, meaning we could tell indeed true positives, people had cancer, and 87% specificity, meaning we could tell with 87%, near 90% accuracy, whether someone didn't have cancer.
How does that compare to other tests?
There are not a lot of tests that are in our space. There are a couple, and the few that are either have a high sensitivity and a very low specificity, or vice versa. So the fact that we have a very balanced test is very meaningful for both physicians and their patients.
And you have CLIA approval now, the Certified Lab Improvement Amendment. That allows you to, for physicians to recommend tests, correct?
Yes. So there is many laboratory tests are CLIA certified. They're called laboratory developed tests. They require that the test be offered only by the laboratory that has developed it. In our case, it's our own laboratory, Precision Pathology Laboratory Services, that developed the test, and they offer it to physicians. We received a CPT code, a reimbursement code, specific to this laboratory-developed test. It became effective on January 1, and sales have been very, very good.
So in the first 4 months of this year, you had 547% annualized growth on this test, so congratulations. How do you continue to grow your share of the market on this?
So we have taken the approach that we will start in our own backyard. So we're a Texas-based company, and so our beta testing has been in Texas, and that's where we see significant growth. But interestingly, we find quite a number of physicians are referring, and also it's word of mouth. And so we've had physicians from New Jersey, from Pennsylvania, from California, and from other states who have asked and are now receiving, North Carolina, and using the test. So our approach is to continue to focus on Texas. It's a large state, to grow our sales force and our marketing efforts, to look at word of mouth, and then to develop this test with a very strong marketing program nationally once we're ready.
You have, let's go to the patents. You have, I know, multiple patents. I think the number that comes to mind is somewhere 20, 25. I could be a little bit off on that, but let's talk about the patent protection.
We have very good patent protection for our test for CyPath Lung, both with existing patents and new patents for inventions and discoveries that we've made as we've developed the test.
Excellent. To sum things up today, you've got a potentially groundbreaking test with a very large market opportunity, I think somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 billion by 2030. Tell our viewers, how big can you grow sales for the product over the next 3 to 5 years?
So we're looking at certainly growing in the United States. And we're starting, as I had said, in Texas. We see growth organically in other states. And then we also have strong protection in patent protection and IP in Europe and Asia and other countries. So we're looking at really the sky's the limit for us as we develop this test. I want to point out, unfortunately, lung cancer is the leading cancer killer. It kills more people than the top next 3 cancers combined. So there's a great need for what we're doing.
There is indeed. Let's sum it up today, Maria. What's the value proposition for investors today?
So we have, with Bioaffinity Technologies, a groundbreaking test for the detection of lung cancer, America's and world's leading cancer killer. We have reimbursement as of January 1st. We have a growing sales and marketing team, as well as growing sales and marketing for the test. Moving forward, we'll be going not only into the nation, but into other parts of the world with this test. So we're very, very pleased with the prospects and encouraged by the market that we see for CyPath Lung.
You're doing a great job, Maria. Keep it up. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Now, to get more information on Bioaffinity Technologies, visit BIAFinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies just like Bioaffinity Technologies. Now, let's recap the companies featured today. First, you met BioVie, stock symbol BIVI on the NASDAQ. BioVie is a clinical stage company developing what it believes will be transformative therapies to overcome unmet medical needs in neurodegeneration and liver disease. The company is developing NE3107 for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and BIV201 for refractory ascites and HRS-AKI. Learn more at www.bivinfo.com. Then you met Bioaffinity Technologies, stock symbol BIAF on the NASDAQ. Bioaffinity Technologies is an emerging player in early-stage cancer diagnosis and treatment. Its flagship product, CyPath Lung, improves detection of early-stage lung cancer by analyzing the lung's microenvironment. The non-invasive test has shown high sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy. Lung cancer often goes undetected until it reaches late stage, when treatment options are less effective. Early detection increases survival and reduces medical costs. With commercialization underway, including a pilot program in Texas and the United States Department of Defense's purchase of tests for ongoing research, the company is well poised for growth. The lung cancer diagnostics market is projected to reach $4.7 billion by 2030. The company's flow cytometry platform, enhanced by AI-driven automated data analysis, is being developed to aid in non-invasive diagnosis of COPD and asthma, which have a combined global market expected to reach $8.2 billion by 2027. The company holds extensive U.S. and international patents. Insiders show strong support for the company, with ownership at 35%. With a highly experienced leadership team, Bioaffinity Technologies is well positioned to drive innovation in early-stage cancer diagnosis and treatment. Learn more at www.biafinfo.com. Don't forget to look at our stocks page. It's the biggest small-cap stock portal in the industry. It has every company listed on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange with market caps of $2 billion and under, and it's categorized by industries. Be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter and learn about a lot of small-cap companies. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. And again, if you have any questions about any of our public companies featured on today's show, call us at 1-800-RedChip or email us at info@redchip.com. In closing, remember, while small caps can provide significant gains, you must be prepared for the downside. Small cap stocks are among the most volatile of asset classes. Some of the companies featured on this show are RedChip client companies, and we may own stock in these companies. So please always read our disclosures at redchip.com. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week with some new, exciting emerging growth companies.